Hello guys, it's Ben in Parts back at you today with episode 8 of the Cryptid Cast podcast, where we go over cryptids, we discuss their sightings, we discuss what they could be, if they're real or unreal, and the previous episode was on the Chernobyl Kaptar, also known as the Chernobyl Bigfoot, a very scary, very frightening but very fascinating creature that barely has anything ever mentioned about it, so I highly recommend you check it out. It's almost 10 minutes long, and it's full of details that link into at least 2 other cryptids. But today, we're going to talk about a very fascinating lumberjack cryptid. You know how I love those lumberjack cryptids, the ones that are so bizarre, so fascinating, yet sometimes there are little elements in them that make them real or believable, or at least real and believable with 1 or 2 aspects of them. And today we're going to talk about the lumberjack cryptid known as the duck-footed Dum-Dum. Yep, it's known as the duck-footed Dum-Dum, and it's known as that for a reason. Every single thing mentioned in its name signifies something. It was originally mentioned in Yarns of the Big Woods by Art Childs, otherwise known as Arthur Childs, and it's a fascinating cryptid to be sure. The duck-footed Dum-Dum, or in Latin, Venta tympanum coxi, is said to come round every spring because it has a very important duty. Its duty involves the fact that it has 2 tails built exactly like bass drumsticks, and it spins them around really quickly, beating them on the skin of its back, which, yes, is set out like a drum. And when the fish hear this, they all come along to the shore to lay their eggs, thus perpetuating their offspring. Then once the eggs have been laid, the Dum-Dum, out of the goodness of its heart, freely keeps watch over them until the fish swim away. Isn't that cute? Not only is that its role in nature, but it does it because it loves the fish and it wants to watch over them and help them. It's the sweetest little cryptid. Not only are its head and ears that of a cat, with the same eyes and nose of a cat, but it actually has no mouth. And at the same time, it has duck-like feet. So it's wandering around, its little eyes goggling, it's got its cute little cat-like nose and maybe whiskers, it's got its 2 tails and it's beating them on its back, it's got its little feet. And at the same time, even though it looks absolutely and completely bizarre, it also looks incredibly cute. And people back in the day genuinely believed in this. It was spread around campfire tales. And I've actually managed to obtain a copy of the book that the Dum-Dum is mentioned in. I actually have a copy of it here. I actually have a copy of Yarns of the Big Woods by Art Childs, and I'm going to read you an extract of it. It reads, "Not much fish in this lake this summer," said the old guide sadly, as he rowed with his party across the sun-flecked water where the glistening fish were supposed to be waiting hungrily for someone to offer them the bait. "What's the matter?" asked the chap from the city on his first trip into the big woods. "Those know-it-all game wardens scared the duck-footed Dum-Dum away, that's what. Ever seen a Dum-Dum? Funny animal. Comes around every spring. He has 2 tails like bass drumsticks, and swings them like lightning, beating them on the tight drum-like skin on his back. Well, when the fish hear this, they all flock near the shore in shallow water, and lay their eggs. They wouldn't know it was spawning season if they didn't hear the Dum-Dum. Then after they lay their eggs, they go away, and the Dum-Dum keeps watch until all the little fish are hatched out. So you see, when those pesky game wardens come along spying around and scare off the Dum-Dum, we don't get any fish." And the guide pulled glumly at his little pipe. The great woods of the north are crisscrossed with tracks, calling cards dropped by the animals for the keen eyes of the tracker to read. So this is incredibly fascinating stuff. It's actually mentioned in a long book, copies of which are rare. And it's amazing that it is rare, that it's not more widely known because its appearance is startling, but it's also very sweet. It looks entirely bizarre, yet it could easily be made into a cartoon because it's so cute. Its artistic depictions are completely like nothing you've ever seen, but at the same time it looks so adorable. I'm surprised that it hasn't become something that people have put on t-shirts and made little models of and toys of. It's an incredibly rare cryptid. So could this Dum-Dum be real? Well, as we've seen in nature, anything is possible. The coelacanth was thought to have been extinct for 65 million years until someone snared one off Africa. The mountain gorilla was thought to be a fiction until Oscar von Beuvron killed one and displayed it in Europe. Monkeys in Africa used to be known as pongos, and they were regarded as horrible savage creatures that fell upon men and beat them savagely and were more known as wild men than actual monkeys. So yes, the Dum-Dum could be real. However, I think it's more along the case of a story told around the campfire by people who are trying to entertain each other, who want something to do, who want a little bit of release. People talking while they're drinking. And it reminds me very much of another cryptid that's not so well known, the cactus cat. A cat with a spiky tail that looks like a cat but also isn't, that slashes open cactuses, gets drunk on the juice, and then stumbles round, sometimes pranging people. It's very funny and it's very cute. And I've done an episode on that, episode 5, and I'm going to link all these episodes in the playlist below. If you enjoyed this episode, as usual, please like this video, subscribe, leave a comment. If anyone's seen this, or knows anyone who has, or knows anyone who told stories of this back in the day among their grandparents, please do let me know. Please interact with my videos and leave me stories. It helps me out in the suggestions, and stay tuned for episode 9.